Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Debbie Walsh. This is Choose Peace, Love, and Happiness. I created this channel to help others on their self-help healing journey. I mean, we're all on healing journeys, but there's a lot of information out there that we can use to help ourselves move forward on the journey without being reliant on someone else. So I created this to share this information in hopes of helping others on the healing journey. Okay, so in this video, the last video, I discussed the pillars of health and how we have our mind and our body and our spirit that are all impacted on the healing journey, and we need to focus on all of them, right? Some of it can be concentrated in one pillar at one point in time and then in another pillar. So we're starting with the first pillar, which is the mind. And in the last video, I discussed journaling. And the reason I discussed journaling was a lot of people in the general population, if you will, are not aware of their thoughts and what they think, and how that affects the other pillars and how it affects their level of well-being. So I suggested journaling, because when we journal, especially if we're in the middle of something and we write it down, we can kind of look at what was going on at a particular point in time and dig deeper into what the thoughts are, and then find out more about what the beliefs are, and then obviously how we feel, and then our other pillars. But for today, I wanted to focus on, if you've done the journaling, I want to focus on the beliefs portion of the first pillar of the mind. And I'll read you the definition. Beliefs are convictions about the truth, reality, or validity of something. According to the American Psychological Association, they are mental representations of how the brain expects things in the environment to behave and how things should relate to each other. Beliefs are the mental shortcuts the brain uses to make sense of the vast amount of information processed daily, helping to navigate the world and anticipate future events. So that's so powerful. And, we can kind of break it down here, because they're mental representations, right, of how the brain expects things in the environment should behave. So we believe things about life, about ourselves, about our circumstances, about our families. I mean, we have beliefs about everything pretty much, right? Whether it's based in truth, reality, or the validity of something, right? So that those are kind of little different things, right? Because I can believe something with all my heart because I believe it and I've had an experience. It doesn't necessarily always mean that that's the truth, right? It might be the truth for me, might not be a general truth, but the point is, we can take a lot of, or make a lot of assumptions about things and have beliefs about things that are not serving us. That's the point of me bringing this up, right? Because when we journal and we find out what we're thinking at a particular moment in time and what we're experiencing at the time, there's going to be beliefs underneath that experience that are kind of supporting our distress, if you will, in that experience. So it's very important to really dig deep into what you believe about yourself. Write it down. Think about it. Like, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about family and children and school and all the different aspects of life? We have beliefs about them, and it's okay to have beliefs. We all have them, but it's okay if it serves us and serves our well-being and serves our progression and moving forward in life. The challenge becomes when those beliefs do not serve us and they do not contribute to our health and our well-being, but we hang on to them and we believe them no matter what, right? And that's really where we want to get to, is to find out what those beliefs are. What are the beliefs that you're carrying around with you that you think are the truth, even contrary to maybe factual information that shows something different, right? And you'll notice that people will hang on to their beliefs. They will just deny any information that contradicts what they believe, any circumstances, that because it's so powerful for us, right? We just have this deep, you know, it's embedded in us normally based upon our experiences, right? So let me just run through here, though, because some of this is really important, in addition to the definition that the American Psychological Association put out. But beliefs, there's an attitude or a mental state or acceptance without full certainty. Beliefs are simple, factual beliefs to complex value systems or religious doctrines. How you interpret the world and how you make decisions. Right? It's like our framework. It's like our glasses, right? We look out into the world, and this determines how we see things. And that we could have someone in our family sitting right next to us has had many, not exactly the same experiences, because we're all individual, but they have their own experience, and their lens looking out into the world is totally different, right? It's just a totally different experience. We're each individuals, right? So they're subjective. Beliefs are subjective attitudes about the world. They're personal perspective, and they're in our personal interpretations of the world, right? So this is really big. Acceptance of truth. We believe they're true whether or not there's proof or evidence. And it's a mental frame of reference. It's a model that we use to look at everything. So, and they influence our behavior. They influence how we act and how we make choices. And there's different types, right? There's factual beliefs, there's opinions, there's explanations, there's ethical, practices and ethical beliefs, right? And beyond the evidence, without concern and concrete evidence or fairness or political systems, right? So they go beyond evidence. They're dispositional versus occurrent. So dispositional means that it's a belief that we hold generally, in general, that's dispositional. But then there's occurrent, where it's activated in a special circumstance, right? So it's a belief that comes out when we're in a certain circumstance that brings that belief out, right? So as far as epidemiology goes, beliefs are central to the study of knowledge, right? So they're so vast and so complex and so important on the healing journey, because, and just as far as an individual's well-being, what we believe affects how, like I just reviewed, affects how we interpret the world, how we interpret our experiences, how we interpret ourselves, how we interpret others and the circumstances we're in. So if our beliefs are not grounded and aren't challenged, then we could keep coming up against like a brick wall, if you will, where we believe something and all evidence, shows that it's just not true, and we don't want to believe it. We don't want to believe it, which is fine. We all have that. And if we have that and it doesn't affect our life, then all is well, right? And we just move on. The reason I bring this up, though, is because it's related to our thoughts and our beliefs, and then it'll relate to how we feel. But the reason it's so important to bring it up is if you're challenged with something and you have beliefs that are contrary to what you're seeing or you're experiencing, it creates like an internal dissonance within, right, to some degree. And when we have that, that's when we're in our feelings, right? We have a dissonance. Now we have to try to make sense of what's going on. So I don't want to get too far into the weeds with this, but it's a very important piece of the healing process and very important piece of the first pillar of the mind, you know, and our mind affects our body. It affects everything, right? So we can't dismiss it, right? And we can't just assume things. So digging into your beliefs and really thinking about it, what you believe, and writing it down, because we can have epiphanies where something comes up and a belief, you know, we could have an epiphany like, wow, I never realized that I thought, you know, X, Y, and Z. And then you can forget that you had that, you know, realization, and you move on, right? And then you never visit it again. So in this first piece of this first pillar, it is important to write it down. I know we don't like to do that, whether you video record it, you know, however you capture it, doesn't matter. Just that you make a note of it so that you have an awareness of what it is that you're thinking about your situation and your circumstances, because that will determine how you move forward and your ability to heal from what you've experienced. So it's very, very powerful stuff. It's you know, very big and broad, obviously, but I wanted to make sure that I spoke to it and referenced it in this part and this pillar, because it does affect everything else. Because what we believe, you know, creates what we feel, and what we feel impacts us and impacts our behavior and how we act out in the world, right? So, all right, I'm going to leave this video at that. I'd love to hear your comments, you know, your beliefs, whatever, you know, whether it's positive, negative, anything you want to share, I would love to hear, because I'm doing this to, you know, try to help others. So I'm wishing you peace, love, and happiness on your healing journey. Namaste. Please leave a comment down below. Like, share, subscribe if you feel moved to. I have my contact information in the description box below. So if you feel moved to do that, if not, that's fine too. I'm just going to keep putting out the information that comes to me to put out. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.